I found out about EC 10 years before I had my first baby. I knew for sure I wanted to do it. I bought a book, I read through it while I was pregnant. I did everything right. And I still didn't do EC from birth. And I still had two under two, both in diapers. Hey everyone, it's Nicole Cheever with Go Diaper Free. Thanks so much for joining me again today on the podcast. Today, I'm talking a little bit about my own experience and bringing it back to what to do when EC doesn't go as planned. This is episode 251. Of course, when you're done listening, please head over to the blog, godiaperfree.com/251. Leave comments, ask us questions there. You'll find links to anything I'm going to mention in today's episode. And of course, if you are listening on your favorite podcast player, please subscribe. And if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button as well so you'll find out about any new episodes coming up. Today, I'm talking a little bit more off the cuff. I really work hard to make sure these podcasts are informative. They're chock full of helpful links and details. And that is kind of my style. But today, I'm just chatting with you through one of my experiences, or I guess three of my experiences since I have three kiddos now, because it's inspired a little bit by an episode I did a while back. I think it was episode 242, Elimination, Communication, and Siblings. And we had some comments on there of some really disappointed listeners. They were struggling through, the later months of their pregnancy, trying to wrap up a toddler. The EC timing just didn't really line up for them. And they were hoping for some like magic wand they could wave and poof, it would all be easy for them. And I would love to give you all that. I really, really would. I wish that, everything in parenting could be easy like that, especially pottying. And there are a lot of things that can be made easier by practicing elimination communication. There are a lot of benefits to it, but just like anything else in life, there are also struggles. So I want to tell you a little bit about my experience today, bring it on back to what you can do, and also just let you know that you're not alone. You might listen to the podcast and think, oh, Andrea and Nicole have it so together. And I have done a ton of training under Andrea to have the knowledge and the experience that I have. And Andrea, she's a bit of a pioneer in the elimination communication world, but even she has struggled with some of her kiddos. She was very honest with this last pregnancy with Marilyn. I think they didn't catch anything in the top hat potty for like the first 6 or 8 days. And that was humbling for her. You think after 5 kids, you've really got this thing down. But again, it's life, it's parenting, they're all different. And so please, the last thing I want you all to do is listen to this podcast and think like, oh, well, if I can't be like them, then it's not going to work out. I really want you to take away from this that there is a way to do EC and have success and have all the benefits, no matter what your setup, no matter what your lifestyle, no matter what your situation. I knew about EC 10 years before I ever got pregnant with my first baby. I had a friend who practiced it with both of her girls, the first one starting about 3 months and the second one from birth, and they hardly used any diapers with their second baby. They were out of diapers so quickly. I can't even remember exactly the ages, but I was resolute. I knew for sure that this is something that I wanted to do. And again, I got pregnant, I bought a book, I got a top hat potty, I was all ready to go, and I did not practice EC. Not until I went to visit that same friend until when my baby was already 4 months old. So we got into it starting at 4 months. We had some success. We were doing a morning pee and usually a morning poop every single day after he woke up. And then I went back to work and then we moved. And there was just a whole bunch of other things that happened that I've talked a little bit about in other episodes. And really, the point of the matter is, I ended up after I had his little sister with 2 kids under 2, both in diapers, full time in diapers. And that's not what I wanted to do. I was trying to wrap him up after I got settled. I was pretty heavily pregnant. I really wanted to wrap him up when he was about 15, 16 months old. And it just didn't happen. I couldn't get the support and the scheduling and everything that I needed done to be able to have that time to do the naked teaching or to, do the concentrated wrapping up process with him. And I really, honestly, if you get down to it, I lacked a lot of confidence. This was my first baby. I just had a huge complete life change. I was ready to give birth to a second baby, totally overwhelmed, and it just wasn't going to happen. And I went for a while having a lot of regret about that and really kind of feeling down on myself like, oh, this was something I wanted to do. It was going to make it so much easier on me and my children. And I had a lot of really deep negative feelings about it. And it was actually something Andrea said that helped to pull me out of that, a teaching she was doing, where she said, you couldn't have done. If you could have done, you would have done it. And absolutely, if I could have gotten him wrapped up, I would have done it. I was so ready to. I wanted it, but I couldn't. The way my life was going at the time, all of the factors combined, I couldn't do it. And so that really helped me to let go of that regret. It really helped me to let go of that shoulda, coulda, woulda. If I could have done it, I would have. I didn't. I ended up doing the potty training experience with him at 28 months old, and it went fabulously. And it really like ignited my passion for this. And now I'm here, sitting here today, where I love to help parents with their first or second or third, doesn't matter, kid. I love to help them get that kiddo out of diapers as quickly as possibly, as young as possible. And even if they've had a bunch of attempts before and just it went miserably. And that's a big passion of mine. And I love helping people. And I would never have gotten this opportunity if I didn't have that experience. I have that in my back pocket now, having potty trained that child and being able to help friends, family, and strangers because of that experience. So I've found a way where I could turn it around and really actually be grateful for it. I then wrapped up my second baby at 18 months old. We just did a quick potty training experience with her. I would say it took about a month for her to be really solidly potty independent, but I was thrilled with that as well. And then was able to jump in with both feet with my third baby when she was only 10 days old. So that's a little bit of my background so you kind of understand where I'm coming from. And back to these comments with the episode on elimination, communication, and siblings. There was just a lot of disappointment floating around in this chat in the comments. Some of it on our private platform. If you're not a book owner yet, we have a book owners area where you can go in and talk to coaches, whether it's the elimination, communication, go diaper free book or the tiny potty training book. Both of them have private online book owners areas where you can get support from other parents and from coaches. So the chats in there were just so disheartened. Oh, I'm heavily pregnant. My oldest is however old, I can't remember, 14, 15, 16 months. I really wanted to wrap up. I don't have the energy. I'm exhausted. I'm nauseous. I don't have the support at home. I mean, these are all really, really real things, people. And I definitely experienced many of them myself. And again, we can't just wave a magic wand and say, poof, okay, well, you can just completely ignore your EC baby and everything will go great and they won't regress when the new baby comes along. Like, I wish we could do that. That would be so great. I would love to just like reach right through that screen and give you all a hug too. But it's just not reality. So, what I want to do today is just really encourage those of you going through EC disappointment. If things didn't line up, if you had a surprise pregnancy earlier than you wanted to, and so you just aren't able to dedicate that time to that older child to wrap them up before the second baby comes along. Trust me, I know the feeling of just kind of feeling guilty. Like I robbed my older child of part of their, only child experience because I had baby sister so soon. I've gone through all that. And again, it's just, there's no point in living there. There's really no point in living there. All it does is drag us down. My kiddos are 4.5, and 5 3/4, he will tell you now. And they are the absolute best of friends. And just even thinking about having separated them more breaks my heart. I would never do it. So there are absolutely silver linings and benefits that come from all of this. The point is, if you have been practicing EC at all, doesn't matter when, doesn't matter how much, full-time, part-time, you took a break, it doesn't matter. You still have all those benefits from EC. We get in this mindset of like, oh, I did all this work and now it was for nothing. And that's just the wrong way to look at it. I hate to tell you, it's just the wrong way. It is not for nothing. It absolutely saved you diapers. It built a very strong bond between you and your child, that trust that you are going to tend to all of your child's needs no matter what they were. Maybe not every time, maybe you're practicing part-time. That still built trust with your child. It built awareness in them for what their body is telling them. It allowed your child to maintain that connection, that brain body connection, so that they're aware of what's going on in their body. They know when they have a full bladder what that feels like and have been working those muscles, even if it's only a little bit. And that brings us to everything that you get to avoid because you didn't do conventional full-time 100% using the diaper as a wearable toilet. You get to avoid a lot of the pitfalls of modern conventional potty training, like pee and poop withholding, which can cause medical issues. There's not going to be fear of the toilet because your child's been using it already, even if they're just a little bit familiar with it. So these are all things that are going to benefit you regardless of how long you did EC, when you did EC, if you didn't do it fully all the way through, if you're having to put a diaper on and just use it as a backup while you're heavily pregnant, laying on the couch, nauseous, whatever it is, when you're in that newborn phase with your baby. I recommended in that episode that if you can wrap up your older child before the new baby comes along, absolutely do it because I had every great intention in the world and thought that I was going to be able to wrap him up when my second baby was still young. Well, it took me almost a year to be able to potty train him and wrap him up after my second baby came along just because of life. So that's my recommendation, but I very purposefully said if you can, because you're not always going to be able to. So if you can't, accept that, appreciate it, and figure out what's going to work for your family. Our page, the books, the podcast, all of the resources, the mini courses, our coaches, everything is here to help you find which situation, which setup is going to work for you. So please don't just listen to one podcast episode and go, oh, I can't do it because Nicole said only do it this way. Please hear me very clearly. There's no one way to do it. That's like saying there's only one type of baby. We all know that's not true. There's no one way to do it. We will help you find something that works for your family. Don't give up. Keep looking. The worst thing you can do is just give up and say, well, I'm not even going to try anymore. And that's not a reset. A reset is not giving up and saying, I'm not going to try anymore. A reset is taking a very intentional, conscious break so that you can try again. So please hang in there, keep moving forward, use the resources you have and we have here. And again, go over to godiaperfree.com/251. And please, I'd love to know, have you gone through EC or potty training disappointment? And how did you deal with those feelings? We do a lot of talk about practical solutions here on the podcast, but this is for us parents who just sometimes we struggle and that's okay. So let's build each other up and encourage each other. How did you deal with those feelings? How did you pull yourself out of that? I shared my story and I'd love to hear yours. Next week, we have another contribution from our coach in Montreal, Quebec, Lisa D. Perouse. So please tune in for that one again. We loved her episode last time. So catch that on the podcast next week. Thanks again for joining me. I hope you like this little heart-to-heart we had today. Again, I know it's a little different from a lot of the episodes that I have published, but I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know over in the comments. I'll catch you all next time.